Well, it's certainly been a busy day for Boris Johnson, developing policies on coronavirus, but also the government has accepted EU calls for talks on a controversial draft law that overrides parts of the Brexit deal signed by Boris Johnson. Brussels is concerned about the internal market bill, which ministers have admitted will breach international law. Stephen Kinnock is, of course, the Labour MP for Aberavon and a shadow Foreign Office Minister. Mr Kinnock, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're one Labour MP who's always been adamant there has to be some sort of deal. You don't hang on to the fact that we've left the European Union. You've accepted the fact that the Brexit vote happened and you want, in your words, the best deal possible. What do you think of the current situation?
I think it's deeply troubling for a number of reasons. International relations and negotiations are based on trust, and you destroy that trust when you go back on a legally binding commitment that you've signed up to. It's also very bad for our democracy, I think, because the government told us that we had an oven-ready deal, and they won a thumping majority in the December election on that basis. Fair play to them, but that does mean that they have to honour their manifesto commitments. And thirdly, I think it's very worrying in terms of the future of our union, because once you start showing that you're ready to tear up various agreements, go back on what you've committed to, and we're seeing that with this UK internal market white paper and bill that's going to be debated next week, they seem to be also ready to throw the principles of devolution onto the bonfire as well. So I think it sends a number of very worrying signals about our international reputation, but also about trust more broadly and trust in our democracy.
Well, on that point, we've obviously heard very strong noises from the Labour administration here in Cardiff, from the SNP in Edinburgh, and also from some prominent Conservatives here in Wales as well about what the government is doing. Do you think this is a threat to devolution, or at least the government trying to alter the terms of the devolution settlement by bringing back powers from the devolved administrations?
Yes, I do. I think it's an assault on devolution, because what they're trying to do here is set standards unilaterally, which the rest of the United Kingdom has to follow. So, if you take food standards, our Welsh farmers rightly want to maintain the highest possible food standards, but this bill would allow food coming into the UK from other countries, for example, chlorine-washed chicken or hormone-injected beef from the United States. That would become the new standard for the UK, and the Welsh government would not be able to demur from that. So this is an assault on devolution. I also worry that it's a race to the bottom in terms of those standards that we fought so hard to put in place. And I don't think that's good for consumers, but I also don't think it's good for devolution. And of course, the more you undermine the devolution settlement, the more you give oxygen to the nationalists and the separatists who think that we should somehow break up the United Kingdom. And I find it absolutely extraordinary that what's supposedly the Conservative and Unionist Party seem to be hell-bent on breaking up the Union, and there's nothing very patriotic about that.
That's Stephen Kinnock there, of course, Labour MP for Aberavon, Shadow Foreign Office Minister. Thank you for joining us here on BBC Radio Wales.